Hollywood used to keep its hottest gay stars behind a glass closet, loved in private, erased in public. Not in 2026. This year, the men they tried to silence are leading franchises, breaking algorithms, and turning too gay into pure power. But every glow-up came with a price, threats, rumors, careers on the edge. So who's really winning, and who's still paying? Let's count down. 1. Jonathan Bailey, the blockbuster rule breaker. In 2026, Jonathan Bailey doesn't walk into a room, he changes the temperature. The slutty nerd glasses, the quiet smile, the kind of charisma that makes a plain tea feel like couture. Then he turns around and leads a dinosaur-sized franchise. Jurassic World Rebirth didn't just make money. It made a point, landing around $869 worldwide, while the internet collectively whispered, "Wait, we're allowed to thirst over the smart one now?" But the heat is only half the story. Bailey has spoken about growing up gay and feeling scared, alone, and limited, the kind of childhood fear that teaches you to edit yourself before anyone else can. Long before the box office receipts, the industry's helpful advice was colder. Don't come out, don't make it easy for them to typecast you, don't give gatekeepers a reason to say no. He said he was warned by people in publicity and casting to stay closeted, and that some of the loudest warnings came from other queer men inside the machine. And in the age of screenshots, you don't just come out, you get dissected. A single photo becomes a debate, and the comments section turns into a courtroom. That's the tragedy. Not one villain, but 1,000 tiny rules. The pause before answering a personal question, the strategic privacy that isn't privacy, it's survival. Even now, stepping into a mega blockbuster as an out gay actor, he's talked about the weight of history and the pressure to be excellent, just to be allowed in the frame. And yet, silent fame. No confessional, no mess, just dominance. Late 2025 crowned him people's sexiest man alive, and suddenly the old excuse, audiences won't buy it, sounded like a lie that expired. So what does returning look like in 2026? Power without noise, letting the blockbuster glow linger, choosing the next move carefully, and proving that being out isn't a storyline? It's a fact. Did he break the ceiling? Or did the ceiling realize it couldn't hold him? Comment your take and subscribe. We're just getting started. 2. Lukas Gage, the scene stealer who refused to shrink. Lukas Gage is the kind of hot that sneaks up on you. Soft face, sharp jaw, messy curls, and that smirk that says he knows the joke before you do. He doesn't play the gay best friend like a mascot. He plays him like a threat. Like the character might steal the entire episode. And then your boyfriend's attention too. But his most famous moment wasn't scripted. In 2020, a director accidentally left his mic unmuted during a Zoom audition and trashed Lucas's tiny apartment to someone else. While Lukas was still on the call, Lukas clocked it in real time, stayed calm, and even joked that getting the job could help him afford a better place. The clip went viral, and suddenly everyone saw what actors usually swallow in silence: classism, disrespect, power games. Here's the tragedy. When you're young, broke, and openly gay in Hollywood, you're told to be grateful for crumbs. You're expected to laugh off humiliation, keep your head down, and never make them uncomfortable. Not with your truth, not with your boundaries. Lukas did the opposite. He let the world watch the mask slip, and he didn't beg for sympathy. He just kept working. That's silent fame, turning shame into fuel without turning your life into a confessional. Before the rom-com glow-up, he was already everywhere. Euphoria, The White Lotus, You, popping in and instantly stealing focus. And yes, Being openly gay adds heat and risk. The labels, the invasive questions, the occasional homophobic drive-by online. And 2026, he's back in full steal the frame mode. Netflix's People We Meet on Vacation drops him into the story as Buck, a free-spirited wildcard who shows up on a camping trip like trouble with perfect hair, and the internet is already circling. So here's the debate. Was that Zoom moment a career risk? Or the moment Hollywood learned Lukas Gage won't be treated like furniture? Sound off in the comments. And subscribe, because the next names on this list are even wilder. 3. Jeremy Pope. High fashion, high risk, zero apologies. Jeremy Pope isn't hot in a safe way. He's runway sharp and stage trained. Shoulders like armor, eyes like a secret, the kind of presence that makes cameras behave. Broadway didn't just discover him, it got conquered. He earned dual Tony nominations in the same season, which is basically the industry admitting this man can sing, act, and command a room without asking permission. And when he leans into the physical, like his Calvin Klein Pride campaign, he turns visibility into a weapon. Pope has talked about how being that visible used to bring fear and anxiety. What people might say, what they might do with the image of a black queer man owning his body. Now, for the part Hollywood doesn't like to admit, Jeremy has said he lost a major studio role because the director implied he couldn't connect to a female character because he's gay. Not because he couldn't act, not because he wasn't right for the part, because of who he is. He basically had to choose between a paycheck and his dignity, and he walked. That's the silent fame tragedy. You can be brilliant, you can be beautiful, and the room will still test you. They'll praise your talent in public, then quietly try to shrink you in private. Don't be too queer. Don't be too honest. Don't make them uncomfortable. Jeremy didn't do the shrinking. He did the opposite. He kept choosing roles that stare homophobia in the face and don't blink. And in 2026, the comeback is pure body horror glam. Ryan Murphy's The Beauty hits FX Hulu on January 21st, and Pope steps into a world where a virus makes people flawless, right before it destroys them. If that isn't a metaphor for fame, what is? Either way, he's not asking to be liked, he's daring you to look away. And he keeps winning. So here's the question. When an actor refuses to hide, is Hollywood finally ready? Or just ready to sell the fantasy? Drop your opinion in the comments and subscribe, because the next names bring even more heat. 4. Miles Heizer, the pretty boy who went to war with silence. Miles has the kind of face Hollywood loves to frame in soft light, and the kind of stare that makes people forget to breathe. But his heat isn't just cheekbones, that it's tension. That don't touch me, try me energy. The quieter he gets, the louder the thirst gets. Then he chose a role that hits like a punch. Boots, a series tied to Norman Lear's final TV project, which already gives it legend energy. He plays Cameron Cope, a closeted teen thrown into 90s Marine boot camp. A time when one wrong word, one too close friendship, one rumor in the barracks could end your career, your safety, your whole life. That's the tragedy. Not just hiding who you love, but learning to flinch at your own feelings. You're trained to be tough. While you're secretly terrified the world will find your soft spot. And Miles knows that pressure isn't just period drama. When he and Connor Jessup became public, the internet treated a relationship like it was evidence in a courtroom. Praise, obsession, judgment, all at once. Jessup has even said Miles helped inspire his decision to come out. Sweet, but also brutal, because when you're visible, you're also targetable. Here's the twist that makes the story sting. Boots didn't die because it was bad. It got love from critics, got people talking. Then Netflix cut it after one season anyway. And the debate exploded. Was it just numbers, or was it pressure? The old stay quiet machine in a new outfit. Reports even pointed to backlash from military officials over the show's LGBTQ focus. That's silent fame in its rawest form. They cancel the show, but they can't cancel the craving. In 2026, Heizer's post-cancellation glow-up becomes a warning shot to every gatekeeper, because the audience already picked their favorite. And the hottest part? Heizer doesn't beg. He doesn't over-explain. He lets the work and the screenshots do the violence. Now tell me, did Boots get buried too early? Or was it too honest for the wrong people? Drop your take in the comments. And if you're here for more unapologetic queer power, hit subscribe. 5. Hunter Doohan, the boyfriend America shipped, until he bit back. Hunter Doohan's appeal is dangerous because it feels familiar. Soft curls, sad eyes, I can fix him energy. And then the switch flips. On screen, he perfected the sweet small-town crush, and then turned that same face into a threat. That contrast is why he stays hot. Innocence with teeth, but behind the edits and fan cams is a quieter, nastier reality. Even when you're talented, Hollywood still teaches queer men to manage themselves. Doohan has said he'd been open about being gay since he was 18, but he also admitted he used to private photos of himself and his boyfriend while auditioning for roles. Not because he was ashamed, because the industry can be. Because one casting director's bias can cost you a job you haven't even gotten yet. Then he did the scariest thing. He chose happiness anyway. He married producer Fielder Jewett in 2022. Even the detail feels like a movie. His friend and Your Honor co-star Bryan Cranston officiated. He's also talked about looking at openly gay stars like Jonathan Bailey as proof you don't have to shrink to survive. So what happens in 2026? His shadow gets longer. Wednesday Season 2 dropped in 2 parts, Aug 6 and Sept 3, 2025, but the Hyde storyline keeps feeding the algorithm deep into 2026. Edits, theories, and that image of Tyler in chains living rent-free on everyone's feed. And then he goes full horror. Evil Dead Burn hits theaters July 24, 2026. A franchise doesn't care about your good guy image. It chews you up on screen. If you thought the internet was unhinged over Wednesday, imagine what happens when the same man walks into a blood-soaked cinematic nightmare with that face. Debate time. Should queer actors have to hide anything to be marketable? Or is that rule finally dead? Comment your take and hit subscribe for more Silent Fame stories. 6. Cooper Koch, the golden boy face of a very dark story. Cooper Koch isn't hot in a safe way. He's hot in a way that makes people nervous. Clean-cut jawline, old Hollywood smile, and eyes that look like they've already lived through the ending. When Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story dropped, he didn't just play Eric Menendez. He made you sit inside the discomfort. And that's where the tragedy starts. The role that launches you can also stain you. True crime fame is a brutal kind of fame. One half of the internet is praising you. The other half is accusing you of romanticizing, exploiting, making it political. Meanwhile, you're the one carrying a real person's trauma in your body for months. Koch has talked about how deep he went, listening to recordings of Eric Menendez every night before bed, trying to honor the voice and the pain. The payoff was real. Emmy attention, awards buzz, and suddenly everyone wants the new guy. Then it got surreal. He was even congratulated by Lyle Menendez in a call from prison, like the story refusing to let go of him. That kind of moment can either break you or harden you into something fearless. But here's Silent Fame. He didn't turn his life into a confession tour. When asked about his love life, he kept it low-key until he didn't. He confirmed he had a boyfriend on TV, then later made a red carpet debut with Stuart McClave. No apology, no please accept me. Just, this is my life. Deal with it. Now, 2026 is where the takeover gets serious. Koch has already lined up a major leap. He's set to join Luca Guadagnino's film Artificial alongside Andrew Garfield and Yura Borisov. That's not pretty boy casting. That's a director known for desire, danger, and gorgeous chaos. And Cooper fits that world like a match fits gasoline. 7. Jack Cameron K. The DL trade, fantasy with a Juilliard secret. In 2026, Jack Cameron K isn't just hot, he's dangerous hot. That close-cropped, marine-built silhouette. That face that looks calm until it doesn't. He's the kind of guy the camera catches for half a second and the internet rewinds for hours. Then Boots happened and queer Twitter basically lost custody of itself. Fans were openly calling him DL Trade, posting thirst reactions like it was a public emergency. But here's the twist that makes his heat even sharper. Jack didn't come from influencer land. He trained as an opera singer at Juilliard before acting ever took over. A classical background, poured into a character built for testosterone and silence. And the silent fame part? He didn't do the typical tearful confessional tour. He just watched the chaos, then smirked. He admitted he went viral immediately and joked he's very fluent in Twitter, even calling himself a gay Twitter main character for a day. That's power. Knowing the algorithm wants to consume you and deciding how much of yourself it gets. But don't mistake the memes for safety. Boots was canceled after one season, even with strong reception, and the show drew real-world backlash, including a Pentagon statement slamming Netflix's ideological agenda and calling it woke garbage. That's the tragedy. 1 minute you're a breakout, the next you're a political target because you existed too loudly on screen. And Jack's response? He didn't beg. He went visual. A steamy boy smells campaign hit, went viral, and proved something brutal. Canceled the show, but the heat doesn't disappear. It relocates. So argue with me. Is Jack taking control of his image? Or is the industry just finding a shinier way to objectify queer men? Drop your take in the comments. And subscribe if you want more silent fame stories where the truth is hotter than the PR. 8. Max Parker, the drill sergeant who turned visibility into a weapon. Max Parker is the kind of hot that comes with a warning label. Built like a threat, eyes like authority. On Boots, he plays Sergeant Sullivan, the ruthless force of boot camp, the man who embodies every rule designed to crush softness. And here's the sick irony. The show is set in the 1990s. Marines, when being gay in the military wasn't even legal, meaning one rumor could ruin you, one accusation could end your life as you knew it. That's why Max's story hits harder off camera. Because he's not just playing the system, he's standing against it. When he was honored with the Human Rights Campaign's Visibility Award, Max didn't speak like a celebrity chasing applause. He spoke like someone who knows what fear feels like. He called this moment uncertain, said the community has to be loud and proud, and said plainly, as an out queer actor, I will continue to share our stories until we can all be authentically who we are without fear. Now layer the drama. Boots gets canceled, and while fans argue numbers, the show also catches political heat. The Pentagon backlash wasn't subtle. They attacked the series publicly, which is basically an invitation for culture war mobs to dogpile everyone involved. So the question becomes personal. Did Max deserve to be dragged for helping tell a queer story in a hostile setting? Or does everyone deserve the right to make art without becoming a target? In 2026, Max isn't just the villain's sergeant anymore. He's the symbol of a new era. Queer men can play power, menace, authority, and still refuse to hide who they are. 9. Zane Phillips, the perfect jock, who refused to stay a fantasy. Zane Phillips is the kind of hot Hollywood used to package. Tall, carved, that classic leading man jawline, then quietly limit. For years, the industry loved the look but wanted the person to stay easy. Smile, flirt, don't get political, don't get too real. And then Zane did the one thing that makes gatekeepers nervous. He stopped being a vibe and became a voice. On screen, he's mastered the modern archetype, the himbo with surprising depth. Sweetness on the surface, tension underneath. Glamorous turned him into a constant screenshot. Off-screen, he's openly gay and doesn't treat that like a confession or a brand deal. It's just him, which is exactly why it lands. Silent fame isn't about shouting your truth, it's about refusing to whisper it. But let's talk about the ugly side of being that hot while being out. When you're a thirst icon, the internet doesn't just admire you, it claims you. One group fetishizes you, another resents you, and a third turns your existence into a debate about what's marketable. You become a headline with a body attached, and the second you step outside the fantasy, date openly, show affection, set boundaries, some people act betrayed, like you broke a contract you never signed. That's the tragedy. Being desired doesn't mean being safe. 2026 is where Zane's glow turns into leverage. He's moving deeper into projects that aren't just cute, they're charged. The romantic lead lane is opening, the darker thriller lane is calling, and he fits both because he's learned how to play power without apologizing for softness. The industry tried to keep him as eye candy. He's turning himself into a leading man. 10. Brandon Flynn, the heartthrob who learned the cost of being seen. Brandon Flynn has always had that dangerous kind of pretty, angel face, sad eyes, and a quiet intensity that makes the camera feel like it's eavesdropping. He broke out young, and the world did what it always does to a beautiful boy. It tried to own him. But what made Brandon different wasn't just the look, it was the refusal to live split in half. Coming up as an openly gay actor doesn't just mean dealing with homophobia from strangers. The deeper wound is the friendly advice from inside the business. Keep it private. Don't give them a reason. Don't make it harder for casting. Translation: hide so we can sell you. And if you don't hide, you're suddenly brave. Which is just another way of saying targeted. Because visibility has a price. The comments get crueler. The rumors get nastier. People start acting like your love life is public property, like your body is a vote, like your happiness needs to be approved by the algorithm. And when you're famous young, it's even worse. Every mistake becomes a moral trial. Every quiet moment gets read like evidence. You're not just growing up. You're growing up on a stage where strangers feel entitled to throw stones. That's why Brandon's silent fame hits. He doesn't beg to be understood. He keeps moving. He chooses work that lets him be messy, complicated, adult, because that's the only way to survive being turned into a symbol. And in 2026, that survival looks like a comeback with sharper edges. Less teen heartthrob, more man who's been through it. The kind of return that doesn't ask for forgiveness because he did nothing wrong except exist out loud. And that's the lesson of today's list. They weren't too gay. They were just too honest for an industry built on pretending. But they kept their careers. They kept their joy. They kept their faces turned toward the light. So here's the truth. None of these men asked to be a headline. They just wanted to live, work, and love without fear. And yet they were judged, targeted, and told to shrink until they refused. If you ever felt forced to hide, let this be your reminder. Your truth isn't the problem. The world's comfort is. Drop your thoughts below. Who was treated the worst, and who's taking over 2026? Like, subscribe, and stay with Silent Fame.